Project management concepts may seem tough at times, but not to worry. You have a coach who makes it as easy as ABC. Here he is to set things straight for you. Your friend, Phil.
I've heard it time and time again. I cannot pass this exam, it's too difficult. Or the PMI is just after money. They don't really care about the profession. All that is beside the point. The question is, will you take and pass the PMP exam, or you keep staying on the fence saying maybe, maybe not, maybe, maybe not? Well, look, the PMP exam is going to be changing in January. So if you want to get certified, now is the time to begin working on your PMP exam journey. Get certified before the exam syllabus changes. You know what? Even more importantly, you want to get certified before this changes, because what it is about to change to, don't even get me started on that one today. But let me assure you that if you truly want to get certified, I put vehicles in place to help you. One of the vehicles I have in place is PMP Exam Tech Camp. It is a technical camp where we explore the technicalities of the PMBOK guide and the PMP exam. As you know, for the PMP exam, there's so many moving parts. There are 10 knowledge areas, there are 49 processes, there are 5 process groups, and there are hundreds of ITTOs. So we need to get all of these under control, aligned. Now, some of these ITTOs are more difficult than others. Let's take, for example, the concept of earned value and all the moving facets on page 267. It can be extremely difficult to do this alone, and that's why in the tech camp, we're going to be taking a look at the triple constraint-oriented processes and those surrounding processes. So I'm talking about schedule, cost, scope, risk, and quality. We're going to be breaking them down. We're going to be making them very, very simple for you to understand and build to the difficult pieces in it. And all that we talk about in schedule, forward passes, backward passes, critical path, float, slack, leads, lags, project float, free float, total float, all that jargon, we are going to unravel it. We're going to break it apart so that you, who finds it a little bit challenging, you're going to come away feeling a lot more comfortable with these topics and these areas. And these are important for your exam because you do not know where these people are going to come from. They come from all sorts of angles. 1 minute it's inputs, next minute it's tools, next minute it's techniques, next minute it's overarching ideas that point back to the project charter. They can be anywhere at any time. So I want you to think about it. What is your exam really made of? Your exam is made of a lot of things, but one thing is for sure. One thing is for sure. If you are unable to identify what exactly you are doing at every point in the project by taking a look at this and knowing not just the processes. I'm not just talking about the process listing or the knowledge area listing. I'm talking about being able to break apart the tools and techniques of these very, very troublesome areas. So let me talk a little bit. Let me just talk a little bit for a quick second about some of these things we are going to be tackling when we meet. So let's take a look at this thing closer. I talked about scope, schedule, cost, risk, and quality. Let me explain to you why it is not enough to just know these process names. It is not enough to just know the process names, my friends. So let's take a look over here at scope management. So at a high level, scope management seems plausible. Looks like you can understand it and deal with it. But the moment you begin getting into the nitty-gritty of what exactly you do in collect requirements and the requirements document, the requirements traceability matrix starts getting muddled up. And by the time you begin talking about the requirements that you've collected versus the scope that you are trying to define in the project scope statement, things become more muddled up. This is why you need additional help, guidance to unravel, make these rough places extremely straight. Straighten them out so that they do not form obstacles on your exam. What about the WBS? Someone said, I don't understand. Why isn't the WBS part of the outputs I see? And even though we've broken down the scope baseline, a student may not understand what exactly is at the base of the baseline. All of those tiny little pieces of the WBS, planning packages, work packages, control accounts, root nodes, how all those work together, code of accounts, all that stuff, it's rather technical. And then we get into the piece where the customer comes into play and where you come into play. Validate scope, the customer comes into play. Control scope, you come into play. How does that interact with all of the other processes? You see, how does this interact with performing integrated change control? Then we get into schedule, and honestly, schedule, if you're reading this, studying this alone, I really hope you've got a firm grasp of practical scheduling in the real world. Because this knowledge area, it has so many moving parts. Forward passes, backward passes, critical path, project float, free float, total float, and then throw in the word slack instead of float. You know what I'm saying? Resource leveling, resource smoothing, resource optimization. I mean, there's so much layering and overlapping that it does need some help. And you talk about the difference between develop schedule and control schedule. This is one of the areas you want to perfect for your exam. Going into cost. The details in all of these plans, a cost management plan is a beast. A lot of folks have not really mastered what is in it. Estimate costs and what exactly you're doing when you're using analogous versus bottom-up versus parametric versus three-point. All these things, these are some of the things we're going to talk about. And then you talk about the cost baseline and you get into earned value in control cost. A lot of folks are struggling with those formulas. They got no clue what TCPI is. They're flying by the seat of their pants. They've got no idea the details of what SPI and CPI really mean. Why you would choose an index over a variance, things like that. And that's why you need to be in these tech camps. Last but not least, let's talk about quality and risk. Quality is a beast. Let's not even go into the multiplicity of tools and techniques. There's a plethora of them. We're going to be going into all of those tools and techniques across the three processes of quality. And last but not least, let's not forget risk. It's a seven-headed beast. It's ridiculous. It's got 7 pieces to it. And the bad thing is that the details are like landmines throughout the PMBOK guide. So if you don't have someone showing you where all these tiny little landmines are, you could come away actually thinking you've read risk and understand it, only to find questions on the exam that probe deep, that go deep down to the sublayers. This is why you need to be in the training, to understand the differences between identifying risk and qualitative, and what happens when you get to qualitative. Around 5 unique things happen here. The uniqueness of every process in risk. We're going to be breaking it down, helping you understand it. The difference between implement risk responses and monitor risks. These are just a few of the things we're going to be covering in the tech camp. So my advice to you, my friends, if you are struggling with the PMP exam content, or maybe you feel you've hit a brick wall, you're not making progress, you need some acceleration to hit that thing in the jaw, hit the PMBOK guide where it hurts, you need to be on that training. PM Radio. Just go on straight down to pmradio.org. Sign up right now. We had a deal going on. We're going to stretch it out a little bit more, but you need to take action now. Okay? So thank you very much for joining me. Again, pmradio.org. 49 processes, let's get it down. So the PMBOK guide, let me make it very clear. The PMBOK guide 6th edition is not changing today or tomorrow. When the exam changes in January, it is not changing to the 7th edition exam. I know some people are still, they don't really understand. No, it's not. The exam flavor and the content is changing. It's a long story. I'll go into it another day, but you don't need to freak out thinking the exam is going to be based on the 7th edition in January. It won't be, but it will be changing significantly to include a lot more agile and hybrid stuff and a lot more different content from the world of leadership, servant leadership. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. Trust me, I know this because I've already trained a course based on that new exam curriculum. So I've got you covered. I mean, if you end up not being able to take the exam on the 6th edition, we already have a course developed for the new exam. Okay? We did this months ago. So we're ready for it. But I just want to let you know it's a different animal. Different animal. Okay? I don't want it to catch you by surprise. All right? So this is the exam you want to take, but if you can't take it, I got you covered. See you around.